So what about the education side of it?
There is an education council that's just forming now. We haven't had our first meeting yet. I'm on that council. And I guess the main focus for us is that we put the authority back in the parents' hands. Again, there is choice. Education is a far cry from schooling. So we're going to be looking at education. At the moment, the model that we're getting in our schools that we are seeing right now is the United Nations model, where it's a dumbing down. United Nations have declared that more educated you are, the more a consumer you are, the more unsustainable you are. So they've decided let's have that social equity, they call it, and let's make sure everyone's at the same level. So we dumb everyone down. And although we may not see, obviously, the Common Core curriculum here in New Zealand from the United Nations, it did come here in the beginning of the 2000s with Helen Clark, and we know it as NCEA. That is the Common Core curriculum. And once you know Robert Mueller and his philosophical and religious background, and the idea or the endpoint that we'll be global citizens, workers for the state, owning nothing, then you are able to see in our NCEA a political bent, herding children's thought already now that it's not equitable to own a property. And when you're looking at United Nations with education, because it's very important to them, that's what the UNESCO is. It was a year after United Nations put into being, UNESCO was produced or created, and its number one goal is to get in, to re-educate the children and to bring in a one world government, one world religion. We're being pushed into global citizenship. Education will not be needed, and we see that as simple as, if you've noticed, not that I go there, I boycotted them years ago, but McDonald's, for example, the person behind the till no longer takes your order, they just push pictures. So you don't, and same with calculators came into schools. Oh goodness, that must have been 30 years ago. Sit your exams with a calculator. Brilliant, but use it or lose it. It's dumbing us down. It's making us reliant on or technology, on a bit of equipment that will do the work for you, or a picture that you just need to push. Everything's being dumbed down for us. We wonder today why people are not seeing the overreach of this government. Is because they've been through their whole schooling. At least anyone that's been in school, in New Zealand schools over the last 20 years, have been slowly put into a consensus learning situation, a peer dependency in their learning, and that they need to have that same narrative to fit in, to be family. It's all this collective talk. And that's why we've got people that no longer can really think outside the square. It's a tricky situation. Wakaminenga Education Council will be made up of many disciplines, people that have been from home educating, tertiary, primary, secondary, things like Steiner, different philosophy type schooling, and we will be coming together to talk about education and putting true education back and true choices back with the family.